everyone. This is Reverend Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we're going to continue our study with paper 112, Personality Survival, and we're on section 6 on page 1235.5 of the original book, section 6. We've got 2 more sections to go, and let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight that we might study this wonderful revelation, and pray that you watch over us tonight and open our hearts and minds that we might learn something in this last section of this wonderful paper. Pray that you'll allow us to share this with others as we learn it. Your will be done in our lives. We thank you and give you the praise in Jesus' name. Amen. And that is thunder in the background. Y'all are hearing. It's raining here hard. So,
It's raining?
yeah.
It's pouring down right here.
Yeah, it's pouring
It's
down
thundering.
right
Like,
Thundering. I hope we don't lose the power. All right, let's start on section 6. The Morontia self. Just as a butterfly emerges from the caterpillar stage, so will the true personalities of human beings emerge on the mansion worlds, for the first time revealed apart from their one-time enshroudment in the material flesh. The Morontia career in the local universe has to do with the continued elevation of the personality mechanism from the beginning Morontia level of soul existence up to the final Morontia level of progressive spirituality. Okay. If you look at the video I'll put out for tomorrow, that it's got a butterfly on the front of it. That's where I got the idea for that. Is this first paragraph for the night. And it's true that as we get to the mansion worlds, we actually go from our larva stage into our butterfly stage. We emerge on the mansion world as the real persons we're going to be. And we will be without the material flesh. And our new Morontia bodies will be nothing like our material bodies. So if you think you're going to get to the mansion world and you're going to have the same type of material body as you had in this world, that's not the case. The Morontia enshroudment is on a totally different level of existence. Okay, it's not physical in the sense as we think of flesh and blood material. It's closer to a urethral or a body that is more like an angel, or what we would consider a ghost, right? It's a higher level existence. It's a different frequency than our current world is in, right? So the material planets of the Morontia existence are physical planets, but they have Morontia buildings and Morontia features and things like that. So, and that's because our Morontia existence is different, right? I don't know any other way to say it. But these mechanisms or these bodies that we are given, that our personality is put into, will serve us all the way up to the spiritual level. And we're talking about 590 different levels we'll go through before we actually hit the totally spiritual level. And we won't start that until we leave the local universe of Nebuchadnezzar. Okay? So we've got lots of changes coming at a little bit at a time, right?
So, Roger, I've got a few questions.
Sure.
So our real personality comes out.
Yes, our real personality. Well, it's the same personality we have on this planet, right? But it's the upgraded type of personality because it's the Morontia personality of the soul. So it is.
Our personalities would be able to be expressed before
That's correct.
through the
Right.
body that we have.
Right. And the new body that we'll get. That's correct. And it's in.
Then I have another question.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it. When Jesus when his body passed away,
Right.
his personality, what personality did Jesus receive to begin with?
Jesus' personality was his original personality of his creator son, right?
So, creator some personality.
That's right. But he built upon that a whole new material personality, which basically became the duplicate of his life, right? So they say in the book that the personality of Jesus while he existed on the planet goes on as a completely new and different being. Okay? And that personality will continue on through the universe just as ours continues on through the universe. But the experience from that building of that personality while Jesus was on the planet not only belongs to Michael of Nebadon, but it belongs to the personality of Jesus of Nazareth, who becomes a separate being from Michael of Nebadon. Okay? So both of them equally have the same personality experience. But this creation of this new personality, or soul, if you will, continues on as the new Jesus. And that new Jesus, we will have the opportunity to commune with when we get through the mansion worlds, if nothing else, on the capital of the local universe. You know, people don't realize, because of the experience of Jesus, there really are two beings now of Jesus. The Michael of Nebadon, who's the original creator son, and Jesus of Nazareth, who is the embodiment of the creator son and the Word of God in a new person because of that experience that's been gained. Right? And who owns that experience? The personalized thought adjuster of Jesus of Nazareth. Right? Because Jesus does not need that thought adjuster, already being the Son of God, or Paradise Son of God, right? So that experience creates through the adjuster a whole new being, right? The personalized thought adjuster of Jesus of Nazareth.
Okay, interesting.
Isn't that interesting? That's a hard one to figure out. That's a tough one for most people to wrap their brains around, you know. Now, you could ask, is that Jesus is different than the Michael of Nebadon? Not really, because both of them had pre-experience, right, from the pre-existence of Jesus, but plus they both have the experience of his life on earth. Now, from here forward, they can have a divergence of experience, but they're still from the original personality of Michael of Nebadon, right? It's like a fruition of the new being, really.
So he continues on the plan, on the ascension plan?
He can, well, not really the ascension plan, because he's already finished everything. But he becomes a servant of the local universe because of his experience here, right?
Is he one of the council, the 24 council?
He's the head. He could be considered the head of not only the Council of 24, but all personalized beings in the local universe. Okay? Alright. I know that was kind of a long drawn out, but it's
Well, actually, good point.
yeah, it's
It is very
important to know and to understand. That's why this book is so important to learn and understand, because of the knowledge you gain from it and the experience and the enlightenment, right? Alright.
That's so many facets.
It does. It really does. Okay, Diane, you want to take the next one? Or maybe we'll just speak?
It is difficult to instruct you regarding your Morontia personality forms for the local universe career. You will be endowed with Morontia patterns of personality, manifestability, and these are investments which, in the last analysis, are beyond your comprehension. Such forms, while entirely real, are not energy patterns of the material order which you now understand. They do, however, serve the same purpose on the local universe worlds as do your material bodies on the planets of human activity.
Okay, notice here it says they're entirely real, but they're not the same energy patterns of the material order. Do you see that? So the order of the Morontia patterns are totally different than the physical energy patterns we manifest right now, right? So when we get that new body, it's more like the angels. It's on the order of the angels, the same sort of body that they have, okay? So that will be our new investment, which we will take through us through all the Morontia experience, right? It'll just be tweaked higher and higher, right?
So
So,
there comes another question.
go ahead, Rodney.
When after Jesus was so-called resurrected, he had the Morontia body.
Right,
He had the first stage body, I believe, that we will also experience.
right.
Now that is my question. Was it just that they made it so his body could be perceived by human eyes?
Not only that, Ron, not only that, but he had to go through the experience of passing through all the Morontia existence according to the plan, the ascension, or according to the plan for the Creator's sons. He had to go through the just like the first mansion world, the second mansion world, the third, all those that we go through, all the way up to a citizen of the local universe, Jesus himself experienced in that Morontia body. And the reason he was perceptible for that Morontia body is because the Morontia existence is just outside our realm of sight. Okay? So the mechanical, physical controllers can make them visible to human beings. So him having that type of body investment, it was easy for them to make him manifestable to us, and easy for him to show himself to human beings, right? But he was still not of the material order, was he? He still had the Morontia form of existence. And he went through all the same levels we go through in the mansion worlds, all the way up to the local universe capital, just like we do. Even though his bestowal was finished, he went all the way through all the experience just exactly like we do, so he could be our example.
So what about Jesus of Nazareth? He had a physical body. Did he go through the process of
That's-
He
yeah.
went directly to Morontia.
That's the Jesus that we know of went through the Morontia existence, right? The Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus, right? Which you could say is separate from the Michael of Lebanon Jesus, but in reality they're one and the same, in a sense. Even though they're a different physical existence, their experience is the same. So everything that Jesus of Nazareth experienced, Michael being his creator, father, right, went through that experience also.
My head feels divided.
I know.
It's
It's hard to understand. It's kind of like trying to understand the spirit of truth that was poured out on all men. It comes from the infinite Son, right? The second source and center.
Eternal.
Huh?
The eternal.
The eternal Son. But it's passed through what? The local universe Son, which is Jesus, right? Right? Or Michael, right? So the spirit of truth, the reason it can be poured out on all the world is because of the Michael bestowal on the planet. Right?
Oh, Roger,
Yeah.
comment. So obviously the first stage, Morontia form, although you're able to, like Jesus appeared and then it just disappeared,
Right.
yeah, he was able to manipulate material because he not only broke bread, but he built a fire as well.
That's right. But remember, he's a creator, son. He could do these things, right? Yeah.
Never mind. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm getting. I was just curious.
Yeah, normally Morontia beings don't manipulate physical matter, do they? But we're talking, yeah, so, but,
I thought that when we were on the mansion world, that we actually live in, we utilize the physical world.
we do. But it's the Morontia physical world, which is a different,
Although we're on our first sphere we're going to be on, I know it's got lakes and fish.
oh yeah, it's just like this world in the sense of the material, but it's also got the Morontia endowment because it's in the what? The cosmic circle of the local universe mother spirit.
With the motive.
Well, obviously,
Intelligence.
I mean, it's just not
We can live, we can experience
for
it.
our enjoyment,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
but we can.
Yeah.
We can,
Just like, remember they talk about sitting down with meat with the master in the mansion worlds? We will have something to eat, but there's no waste in the Morontia body. So there aren't any bathrooms, right, in the Morontia.
That's right, no toilet paper.
Yeah, no toilet paper, nothing like that, because everything we ingest or everything we experience, we use 100% of, right? We get the experience, and we're used to eating as humans, so they've made a substitute for that, for us to feel at home, on the Morontia.
For a while.
For a while, yeah. Eventually, we'll probably get bodies that will intake energy totally different than from food, right? All right. More than likely, we'll be all vegetarians up there, because probably there aren't any killing of animals to feed
Yeah,
us.
no butcher shop.
No butcher shops, that's right. That's right. But we won't know the difference. To us it'll seem like it's a normal thing. Okay, Stephen, would you take the next one?
All right. To a certain extent, the appearance of the material body form is responsive to the character of the personality identity. The physical body does, to a limited degree, reflect something of the inherent nature of the personality. Still more so does the Morontia form. In the physical life, mortals may be outwardly beautiful, though inwardly unlovely. In the Morontia life, and increasingly on higher levels, the personality form will vary directly in accordance with the nature of the inner person. On the spiritual level, outward form and inner nature begin to approximate complete identification, which grows more and more perfect on higher and higher spirit levels.
So, our body, when we get to the mansion world, starts out to reflect the spiritual beauty within us, right? And it goes higher and higher. As we go up through more and more of the Morontia levels and get closer to the spiritual level, by the time we hit the spiritual level, we're more closely approximated to the type of person we are within. So if we're lovely within, we will be lovely without. We will be beautiful. If we're ugly within, we will be ugly without, right? Unlike on this world we live right now. There's many people on this planet that are very, very beautiful and very, very ugly inside. Okay, and that's the point they're trying to make here.
And vice versa.
And vice versa. That's exactly right. So as we change and as we get closer to spiritual beings, we become more reflective of the way we are inside. Right?
The spiritual butterfly.
Like the butterfly, that's right. Okay. I think that's the okay. did I?
No,
We
not
haven't
yet.
read that.
This one? Okay, all right. Rodney, would you take this one, please?
In the Morontia state, the ascending mortal is endowed with the never-done modification of the cosmic mind, endowment of the master spirit of Urantia. The mortal intellect, as such, has perished, has ceased to exist as a localized universe entity apart from the undifferentiated mind circuits of the creative spirit. But the means and values of the mortal mind have not perished. Certain phases of mind are continued in the surviving soul. Certain experiential values of the former human mind are held by the adjuster, and there persist in the local universe the records of the human life as it was lived in the flesh, together with certain living registrations and the numerous beings who are concerned for the final evaluation of the ascending mortal, beings extending in range from Seraphim to universal censors, and probably on beyond to the Supreme.
Now I'm going to start the end of this paragraph and work my way backward. Notice here it says certain numerous beings are concerned with the final evaluation. These are the beings that help determine whether you go on the third period or where you are held back to the planetary resurrection, right? And they are the Seraphim and the universal censors. It's the universal censors who brings your case before the Ancients of Days, right? And if they have, plus the records of the adjuster, right? So the records of the Seraphim, the records of the universal censor, and the records of both the archangel and the adjuster are brought to the Ancients of Days for them to make the decision whether you go on immediately on the third period or you wait till the planetary resurrection, right? That's the judgment. Okay, but let's go back up to the top of this period. They talk about the cosmic mind endowment of the master spirit of Urantia, right? This is what replaces the 7 adjunct mind spirits. Okay, in this type of body we have a mind that is plugged into the mind circuit of the local universe mother spirit. And those electrical charges and everything that makes up our human mind, that connects us to the physical, we're connected to a mind circuit that's controlled through the local universe mother spirit. And when we die, that circuit is severed. Okay? So all of our memories and all that stuff goes to, with the Seraphim, the adjuster, and to the universal censors. And they literally plug us in to the cosmic mind of the local universe. So the 7 adjutants are replaced with the cosmic mind. And when we awaken, the new mind we have in the Morontia form is not like the old mind we had. It's not connected to a physical brain any longer. It's connected with your Morontia being and your Morontia moda. So our new mind is connected through that to the local cosmic mind. And as we become more and more attuned or aligned with the cosmic mind, then we become more and more perfect. And we become more aware of how our experience is plugged into whom? The Supreme. Okay? So all of our experience from our mortal self goes into the Supreme, plus all of our new experience from our Morontia self also goes into the experience of the Supreme. And you can see why the Supreme is called the finite God, because it gets all the finite experience of all beings, and it gets all the experience of our Morontia self even our spiritual self, all the way up to the seven, all the way to paradise, right? Because we're plugged into that cosmic mind now instead of the seven adjutants. Okay? Make sense?
Roger?
Yes.
And then we'll have the opportunity, the Universal Father, I believe the only command that was ever given was for us to become perfect even as He is.
That's correct.
And therefore we'll have that opportunity.
We'll have that opportunity as finalators, right? Because once you've seen the Father, the adjusters made it back to the Father, and that perfection is instilled forever within us. And then we're ready to be perfect forever and go out and do the will of God, right? From that point on. All right. Creature volition cannot exist without mind, but it does persist in spite of the loss of the material intellect. During the time immediately following survival, the ascending personality is in great measure guarded by the character patterns guided by the character patterns inherent from the human life and by the newly appearing action of Morontia moda. And these guides to Mansonia conduct function acceptably in the early stages of the Morontia life and prior to the emergence of Morontia will as a full-fledged volitional expression of the ascending personality. So this Morontia moda, along with the cosmic mind, help guide you in your Morontia life until you fully emerge with your own Morontia will, your full-fledged action of choice. So, and then you have the full-fledged volitional expression of an ascending personality. So from that point, where you go from there is totally up to you, your free will again, right? And that free will conducts you all the way up through the ascension plan. Okay? And that's because of the development of the Morontia moda. Okay? All right.
There are no influences in the local universe career comparable to the seventh adjutant mind spirits of human existence. The Morontia mind must evolve by direct contact with cosmic mind, as this cosmic mind has been modified and translated by the creative source of local universe intellect, the divine minister.
Okay, so it's this divine minister or the local universe mother spirit that helps direct this cosmic mind, and we, as Morontias, we attach ourselves to the cosmic mind. Okay? So that cosmic mind replaces the seven adjutants. They're no longer necessary, right? Because we're plugged into the cosmic mind. Remember all the circuits that we've studied before? It's the same principle. Okay. Stephen, did you take the next one?
Okay. Mortal mind, prior to death, is self-consciously independent of the adjusted present. Adjutant mind needs only the associated material energy pattern to enable it to operate. But the Morontia soul, being super adjutant, does not retain self-consciousness without the adjuster when deprived of the material mind mechanism. This evolving soul does, however, possess a continuing character derived from the decisions of its former associate adjutant mind. And this character becomes active memory when the patterns thereof are energized by the returning adjuster.
So as the adjuster returns, that helps us plug back into what? A super adjutant. The Morontia soul plugs into the super adjutant through the adjuster, because the consciousness without the adjuster, we would forget all we had done in the material mechanism, in the material mind. Right? And all of our decisions and all of our former adjunct mind decisions, all of our memories and everything are returned to us by the adjuster. Okay?
They are adjusted.
Yeah, if they are adjusted. So the things we retain are those things which are spiritually important to us, right? Relationships, things like that. Too far. Okay. Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
The persistence of memory is proof of the retention of the identity of original selfhood. It is essential to complete self-consciousness of personality, continuity, and expansion. Those mortals who ascend without adjusters are dependent on the instruction of seraphic associates or the reconstruction of human memory. Otherwise, the Morontia souls of the spirit-fused mortals are not limited. The pattern of memory persists in the soul, but this pattern requires the presence of the former adjuster to become immediately self-realizable as continuum memory. Without the adjuster, it requires considerable time for the mortal survivor to re-explore and relearn, to recapture the memory consciousness of the meanings and values of a former existence.
Okay, so when we awaken, it's because of the adjuster we have this immediate remembering of who we are. But for those who are spirit-fused mortals who cannot fuse with their adjuster, then they have to be rehearsed by the seraphic guardians of what happened to their life so they can remember. Okay, so it's because of the adjuster we become immediately self-realizable, because without the adjuster we have to be retaught everything that happened to us, right? So that's an advantage of having an adjuster, right? Okay. The soul of survival value faithfully reflects both the qualitative and quantitative actions and motivations of the material intellect and the formal seat of the identity of selfhood. In the choosing of truth, beauty, and goodness, the mortal mind enters upon its pre-Morontia universe career under the tutelage of the 7 adjunct mind spirits, unified under the direction of the spirit of wisdom. Subsequently, upon the completion of the seven circles of pre-Morontia attainment, the superimposition of the endowment of Morontia mind upon adjunct mind initiates the pre-spiritual or Morontia career of the local universe of progression. Okay, so both our quantitative and qualitative actions and motivations of our intellect basically are remembered in our new selves, right? Because these are all physical things that come from the 7 adjunct mind spirits. And it's taught us through the spirit of wisdom. But once we've completed the 7 circles of psychic progression, okay, and start on our Morontia mind, and the new thing that helps us in our new Morontia mind, or pre-spiritual Morontia career, is what? The cosmic mind, right? So we disconnect from the 7 adjuncts and reconnect to the cosmic mind at this point. Right. But all of our experiences remembered. Right, Diane?
When a creature leaves his native planet, he leaves the adjutant ministry behind and becomes solely dependent on Morontia intellect. When an ascender leaves the local universe, he has attained the spiritual level of existence, having passed beyond the Morontia level. This newly appearing spirit entity then becomes attuned to the direct ministry of the cosmic mind of Urantia.
There we go. Okay. So you see how important it is for the cosmic mind to connect us in our new life, right? All right, Stephen, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. Adjuster fusion. Cloud adjuster fusion imparts eternal actualities to personality, which were previously only potential. Among these new endowments may be mentioned fixation of divinity, quality, past eternity, experience and memory, immortality, and a phase of qualified potential absoluteness.
So by fusing with the adjusters, we get that fixation of identity, of divinity. We're always part of the divinity of God, right? We get past eternity experience and memory. So we start to remember things that the adjuster remembered before our own physical existence, all the way up to then and then past that, right? We also get immortality, right? And a phase of qualified potential absoluteness. What are they talking about there? That means we get a phase of what is to come, the qualified absolute, okay? And the potential they're talking about there is the potential for what is to become as the fruition of the 7 super universes comes into full existence, right? The absoluteness of that, right? I got a phone call from someone I had no idea what that. It's from Griffin. Okay. We don't have any listeners in Griffin, do we? No, I don't think so. Okay. Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
When your earthly course in temporary form has been run, you are to awaken on the shores of the better world, and eventually you will be united with your faithful adjuster in an eternal embrace. And this fusion constitutes the mystery of making God and man one, the mystery of the finite creature evolution, but it is eternally true. Fusion is the secret of the sacred spirit of ascending death, and no creature, save those who have experienced fusion with the spirit of deity, can comprehend the true meaning of actual values which are conjoined when the identity of a creature of time becomes eternally one with the spirit of paradise deity.
So we can try to explain it every way we want to, but until you experience, no one can really explain how deity and us becomes one until we experience it, right? And they say that's the secret of ascending, because that's will be our new home as we ascend through the universe, right? Okay. I think I'll skip and let you go next.
Fusion with the adjuster is usually effected while the ascender is resident within his local system. It may occur on the planet of nativity as a transcendence of natural death. It may take place on any one of the mansion worlds or on the headquarters of the system. It may even be delayed until the time of the constellation sojourn, or, in special instances, it may not be consummated until the ascender is on the local universe capital.
So there's no fixed program that it has to happen on this. All they tell us is most beings will fuse by the time they hit around the 5th dimension world. But that don't necessarily mean it has to happen by then, right? It could be a little later. It could be before then. It could be soon as you die, you could fuse with your adjuster. We just
And
don't.
it could go on as long as until when?
The local universe, until you're on Nebadon, standing before Michael of Nebadon.
And then by then it's gonna happen.
It's going to happen, yeah, because it has to happen before you start your spiritual progression from there, right?
Well,
Right, okay. Stephen, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. When fusion with the adjuster has been effected, there can be no future danger to the eternal career of such a personality. Celestial beings are tested throughout a long experience, but mortals pass through a relatively short and intensive testing on the evolutionary and Morontia worlds.
So the celestial beings, or the ascending sons of God, or the descending sons of God, have to go through long, drawn-out tests. But as mortals, we have a fairly short one. We have our life in the flesh, and then our experience on the mansion world. So that's a very short period of time that we have to go to reach fusion. And another interesting thing that should be mentioned here at this particular section is the fact that no fused being has ever rebelled against God. Why is that? Because it's impossible. When you fuse with deity, why would you rebel against yourself, right? It just doesn't make sense.
it's probably impossible.
It probably is. Would you take the next one, Rodney, please?
Fusion with the adjuster never occurs until the mandates of the super universe have pronounced that the human nature has made a final and irrevocable choice for the eternal career. This is the Act 1 authorization, which, when issued, constitutes the clearance authority for the fused personality eventually to leave the confines of the local universe to proceed sometime to the headquarters of the super universe, from which point the pilgrim of time will, in the distant future, hence secondly from, for the long flight to the central universe of Havana and the deity adventure.
Okay, so once a human being makes a final and irrevocable choice for the eternal career, then an Act 1 authorization is issued. And that basically states that this being at some time in the future will be allowed to leave the local universe for the super universe headquarters, or Uversa, and in Uversa being in Seraphim to go to the central universe of Havana. Okay? And once that's been done, it's a done deal, right? There's no, it's not, you don't go back, all right? On the evolutionary world, selfhood is material. It is a thing in the universe, and as such is subject to the laws of material existence. It is a fact in time and is responsive to the vicissitudes thereof. Survival decisions must here be formulated. In the Morontia state, the self has become a new and more enduring universe reality, and its continued growth is predicated on its increasing attunement to the mind and the spirit circuits of the universes. Survival decisions are now being confirmed. When the self attains the spirit level, it has become a secure value in the universe, and this new value is predicated upon the fact that survival decisions have been made, which fact has been witnessed by eternal fusion of the thought adjuster, and having achieved the status of a true universe value, the creature becomes liberated in potential for the seeking of the highest universe value, God. Right? So, here survival decisions are formulated, right? And then, as we go on to our existence in the Morontia existence and the spiritual, survival decisions are confirmed, right? And then after that, our ongoing actions are predicated upon the fact that survival decisions have been made. And once those have been made, the fusion with the adjuster, there's no way anything's going to upset that, right? And then later on, we're liberated for the potential of seeking the highest universe value, which is God, because we're part of divinity, right? All makes sense. It's a very thought out, well orchestrated plan, right? Okay.
Such fused beings are twofold in their universe reactions. They are discrete Morontia individuals, not altogether unlike Seraphim, and they are also beings of potential on the order of the paradise finaliters.
Because as we progress and we stand before God the Father, what do we become? Paradise finaliters, right? After we're embraced by God the Father, right? Steve, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. The confused individual is really one personality, one being. Unity defies all attempts at analysis by any intelligence of the universe. And so, having passed through tribunals of the local universe from the lowest to the highest, none of which have been able to identify man or adjuster, the one apart from the other, you shall finally be taken before the sovereign of Nebadon, your local universe father, and there, at the hand of the very being whose creative fatherhood in this universe of time has made possible the fact of your life, you will be granted those credentials which entitle you eventually to proceed upon your super-universe career in quest of the universal Father.
Okay, the sovereign of the universe, your local universe father, who is that?
Jesus.
That's Jesus. That's Michael and Nebadon, right?
You come face to face with him.
Yeah, after your fusion, you will become face to face with him, and he will grant you those credentials which will eventually allow you to go on the quest of whom? The universal Father, through the bone, right? And that's when you want to stand before Jesus and you want to hear what? Well done, my good and faithful servant. Right? All right. Rodney, would you take the next one?
As the triumph adjuster won personality by the magnificent service to humanity, or as the valiant human acquired immortality through sincere efforts to achieve adjuster likeness. It is neither, but they together have achieved the evolution of a member of one of the unique orders of the ascending personalities of the Supreme, one who will ever be found serviceable, faithful, and efficient, a candidate for further growth and development, ever ranging upward and never ceasing the supernal ascent until the 7 circuits of Havana have been traversed, and the one-time soul of earthly origin stands in worshipful recognition of the actual personality of the Father in paradise.
So it's not just us going up or the adjuster coming down. It's a combination of the two, right? And that makes us serviceable to the Supreme. And that gives us the right to go to Havana and meet the Paradise Father, right? What a plan. And the more you study it, the more clear it comes to you. Right? Throughout all this magnificent ascent, Thought Adjuster is the divine pledge of the future and the full spiritual stabilization of the ascending Moron. Meanwhile, the presence of the mortal free will affords the adjuster an eternal channel for the liberation of the divine and infinite nature. Now have the two identities become one. No event of time or of eternity can ever separate man and adjuster. They are inseparable, eternally fused. So once you fuse, there is no unfusing you. You will always be fused with the adjuster. You become a new person, a new being. You and the adjuster as one. Diane.
On the adjuster fusion worlds, the destiny of the mystery monitor is identical with that of the ascending mortal, the paradise core of the finality. And neither adjuster nor mortal can attain that unique goal without the full cooperation and faithful help of the other. This extraordinary partnership is one of the most engrossing and amazing of all the cosmic phenomena of this universe age.
So both the adjuster and you have the same goal, the paradise core of finality, right? Stephen, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. From the time of adjuster fusion, the status of the ascender is that of the evolutionary creature. The human member was the first to enjoy personality and, therefore, outranks the adjuster in all matters concerned with the recognition of personality. The paradise headquarters of this fused being is Ascendington. Ascendington, there we go.
Not divinity.
Not Divinington. And this unique combination of God and man ranks as an ascending mortal all the way up to the courts of the finality.
And that makes us what? Ascending sons of God, right? That's why we get our new name as ascending sons of God. All right. Rodney, would you take the next one?
When once an adjuster fuses with an ascending mortal, the number of that adjuster is stricken from the records of the superuniverse. What happens on the records of divinity, I do not know, but I surmise that the registry of the adjuster is removed to the secret circles of the inner courts of Grand Fonda, the acting head of the court of finality.
Okay, so Grand Fonda, the courts of inner circle of the courts of Grand Fonda, is the head of all the court of finality, and only those know the original numbers of the adjusters, right? And with whom they have fused with to become the new being. And that's not revealed to anyone. All right. With adjuster fusion, the Universal Father has completed his promise of the gift of himself to his material creatures. He has fulfilled the promise and consummated the plan of the eternal bestowal of divinity upon humanity. Now begins the human attempt to realize and to actualize the limitless possibilities that are inherent in the supernal partnership with God, which has thus factualized. And that is what core of finality is about. Because of the Father giving of himself, part of himself, to his creatures, and his creatures fusing with that piece of himself, now they become serviceable in the core of finality to do the actions of whom? God the Father, right? The will of the Father. And that's what we do once we get to the core of finality, right?
The children of God.
The children of God. The present known destiny of the surviving mortals to the paradise core of the finality. This is also the goal of destiny for all thought adjusters who become joined in eternal union with their mortal companions. At the present, paradise finalators are working throughout the grand universe in many undertakings, but we all conjecture that they will have other and even more supernal tasks to perform the distant future after the seven super universe has become settled in light and life. And then when the finite God has finally emerged from the mystery which now enshrouds this supreme deity. Right? So at present, all the core of finality is working in the grand universe, and this will continue on as long as the seven super universes are still not settled in light and life. And at that point, the mystery surrounding the supreme deity, or God the Supreme, will be revealed, right? When we all reach light and light. And at that point, it talks about what else we're going to do. All right? Diane, would you take the next one?
You have been instructed to a certain extent about the organization and personnel of the central universe, the super universes, and the local universes. You have been told something about the character and origin of some of the various personalities who now rule these far-flung creations. You have also been informed that there are in process of organization vast galaxies of universes, far out beyond the periphery of the grand universe. In the first outer space level, it has also been intimated in the course of these narratives that the Supreme Being is to disclose his unrevealed tertiary function in these now uncharted regions of outer space. And you have also been told that the finalators of the Paradise Core are the experiential children of the Supreme.
So, as the experiential children of the Supreme, we will have assignments in these uncharted regions in the outer space level. Right? All right. Stephen, would you take the next one?
We believe that the mortals of a juster fusion, together with their finaliter associates, are destined to function in some manner in the administration of the universe of the first outer space level. We have not the slightest doubt that in due time, these enormous galaxies will become inhabited universes, and we are equally convinced that among the administrators thereof will be found the paradise finaliters, whose natures are the cosmic consequence of the blending of creature and creator.
So it's because of this blending of creature and creator that prepares us for what lies ahead in the outer space levels, right? All right, Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
What an adventure. What a romance. A gigantic creation to be administered by the children of the Supreme. These personalized and humanized adjusters. These adjusterized and eternalized mortals. These mysterious combinations and eternal associates of the highest known manifestation of the essence of the first source and center, and the lowest form of intelligent life capable of comprehending and attaining the universal Father. We conceive that such amalgamated beings, such partnerships of creator and creature, will become superb rulers, matchless administrators, and understanding and sympathetic directors of any and all forms of intelligent life, which may come into existence throughout these future universes of the first outer space level.
And that will be our job out in the outer space levels. We won't become creator sons, will we? You know, I think Rodney asked me this question last time. We will be the administrators, right? And
I didn't ask that.
oh, you did? Okay.
I think Stephen.
Was it Stephen? Okay.
I think so.
All right. But that will be our new job. We will become administrators and we will become directors of all intelligent life forms out in the outer space levels. So, and what prepares us for that is what? The fusion with the adjuster, right? And our mortal experience. So So it sets us up as workers as the children of the Supreme for universes to come. Okay? Works a lot better than what ancient aliens have come up with, right? I get mad every time I watch that show. And my wife always says, calm down, they don't know. Here we go, our last paragraph. It is true, you mortals are of earthly animal origin. Your frame is indeed dust. But if you actually will, if you really desire, surely the heritage of the ages is yours, and shall someday serve throughout the universes in your true character, children of the supreme God of experience, and the divine sons of the Paradise Father of all personalities, presented by a solitary messenger of Urantia. What a great thing. I hope you all enjoyed that.
Very much.
Okay.
Very much so.
It seems the difference is today we're governed by fear and self. Fear of we're not going to have this, and we got to get this, and all of this kind of stuff. And yet now what we're being introduced to is a love for our fellow man and serving our fellow man, and God takes care of everything.
Yeah. It's a hard.
In other words, we don't have to worry about it as long as we're doing the right job.
That's right. As long as we're doing right, let God lead us, right? Yeah. Rodney, would you like to close us in prayer for Timothy, please? Or you and your dog can.
Now, Pastor Noel.
Yeah. Yeah, you can pass. Stephen, would you like to close us tonight?
No thanks.
No? Okay. Well, Diane, close us in prayer.
Father God, we just thank you so much for this lesson tonight, and we thank you for the continuation of this paper and the finishing last two parts of it. Thank you for teaching us and showing us your divine plan for us all the way through. And it helps keep us on the right course in our daily lives with the proper goals that you have given to us through your writings. And our hearts are so very, very grateful for this. And we thank you so much that Roger has been so faithful in keeping the papers coming and studying them and teaching according to his knowledge and understanding and helping us to understand. And we are just so thankful and so grateful for your incredible divine plan. In your name, Jesus Christ, Michael, we pray and give thanks. Amen.
Amen. And thank you at home for joining us at home. Please come see us again. Now we have the two papers that we've already done on Guardian Seraphim. And then we have the 3 papers on the Supreme. And that's it in this section completely. So, and we've already done those papers, but I guess we'll go back through them the next few weeks if y'all like to. But thank you for joining us at home. Please come see us again.